It's possible that nobody's here because maybe nobody wants to talk about trapping beavers and shining times. And
the
if that's
reason
the case, we'll just talk about it.
the reason that we like exist as a nation. There's Miss Tina.
I got to turn that repeat and echo off there. Okay, got it. Morning,
Good
Tina. Well, yes, it is a matter of fact. Morning, Chuck.
morning, Chuck. Good
How's
morning,
the sun is
Miss
shining
Tina.
in New York? I assume you're in New York. You could be somewhere else. I don't know.
I hope you're home.
Well, unless there's someplace more fun.
Unless you're somewhere you're having a really good time somewhere else cool.
That's possible.
Because we have lots of cool places.
Good morning, Miss Carol. Yeah, I'm a
Good
little bit
morning,
late.
Miss Carol. Well, there you are.
I had to back out. I shut down and came back. I was here, but I started having that.
We've been on for like 15 minutes and we started freezing up and doing all kind of
Yeah,
wild
so
stuff. I wasn't froze.
I was. It's
Which
me.
is amazing to me that like I'm in the middle of nowhere.
That's true. When most of the time it is you if it freezes. Let's just be honest. Beautiful morning in central New York. Well, it is a beautiful morning in upper East Tennessee. I will tell you that.
So when I got up this morning, we had heavy frost.
That is not right. You had rain yesterday. It was pouring
It
rain
was pouring
yesterday.
rain yesterday, and today this morning we had fog on the riverbank
And frost.
and frost. Heavy frost, not just regular frost, but heavy
Heavy
frost.
frost. Well, I just think it'd probably get the bugs all down. It was 53 here this morning. What was it at your house?
it was it was not 53.
I'm guessing that.
So I don't know if we can see this or not. Maybe not. So
Somebody.
that was that was the fog over the river.
Oh, it looks nice though. I love that
Oh,
sunrise.
it's gorgeous, but it was 31 when I got up. So
Oh, Tina, I'll be on the lookout for that then. Thank you. There's a box on the way to my house. Before I forget and we get us all
the
chased.
fall is
Tina,
falling.
do I look like the kind of guy that would get people chasing squirrels? I mean, I'm hurt.
we,
I'm hurt. Mark, please send this your rain. They're getting kind of droughty.
Uh-oh.
I think I knew that. I don't know. We've been a little bit dry, but then we get these hard rains. Now, last week, I'll take that back. We ought to be wet because we had so much rain last week. I think it was last week that I was sloshing coming back and forth to the house, and I live on a slope, so water was standing. Carol says I'm picturing a whole box of squirrels. Thank you, Carol.
I
You're a
live,
big
I live on a slope.
apparently. Well, I do. Well, I live in East Tennessee. There isn't much flat ground.
There ain't no flat ground.
People used to kid us as kids about having one leg longer than the other.
You were what were those side hill grazers?
If you've ever been in this country and my granddad lived on a farm that was like that, and there were trails, that went around the slopes, and it was like the cows only went one way, and they had to, the other cows went the other way because they had legs.
You had to have two different kind of cows.
Two different kind of cows. Right
Left,
shoulder,
left-legged and right-legged.
left-legged and right-legged. That's right. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Chuck says their normal rainfall is about 10 inches. We're under 5. What, 10 inches in a year?
Surely you get more than 10 a year.
Because we get 7 to 12 a year.
Yeah, but you have to always walk from as much as you. Wait a minute. You have to always walk. There's something in the summer, and in the summer I lived on a hill. I know the drill.
Oh,
when I was growing up, Tina, I swear this is true. All the older folk used to tell us about how hard they had it going to school, and they always said they walked uphill both ways to get to school every morning, and every evening they had to walk back uphill to get home.
I have a painting hanging in here that shows us going to school.
Oh,
yeah, you walked uphill through the snow in
yeah,
both
right.
directions.
Forgot about the snow. Keen said her dad did too. It was rough growing up like that. Hey, John Surf Bum has joined us. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. John.
I hope you are well.
I hope you're catching fish and not golfing.
Now, behave. Don't.
Well, they're hard to eat. Them golf eggs.
They are hard to eat. I saw Granny Clampett boil them for days one time.
But a big old striper, you can eat that.
Or a flounder.
Mm-hmm. What do they call them up there where John's from? Flukes.
Flukes. Aren't they flukes, though? Or at a certain time of the year? John, tell us not much of both getting over a back. Oh, that's right. I hope you're feeling better, John.
Sorry, buddy.
John, tell us, do you guys call them flounder or fluke?
The older we get, the more back issues we have to get through.
Yeah, among other things. I got a leg. It's driving me crazy. Summer, yeah, that's what I thought. But it's
so they changed terminology up there in that country.
But seasonally,
because like in the South, flounder's a flounder.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that ever called them a fluke down here. And we used to get them at the fresh fish market when I lived in Florida, and it was always a flounder. And the restaurants that served them always referred to them as
vertebrae you didn't even know you had, John.
That's right. Oh, more of them. Yeah, more joints, period. And they aren't the good kind of joints that make you feel good.
No joint, no bone on bone is good.
John said basically they're all flounder. Us Yankees can be a little weird though. Well, we won't go there, John, because we're being friendly today. Plus, we're surrounded by Yankees.
I'd call them a fluke if I was up in that country in the summertime.
Exactly. If you guys call them a fluke, that's what I'd call them.
I believe in our people.
Let me wipe my glasses on a minute. I've thought about something.
And I'm tired of us killing each other. So.
And there you got it. Now you got it said. So
I got it said. I'm done now.
Somebody else said.
I don't agree with you. I'm gonna shoot you in the throat. I don't get it. John, I hope you got some relief.
John says we have
One of us has to have some relief.
Now, John, hang on a minute. Here's a conundrum about that.
Knock him out, John.
We ain't talking about that. We're going back to fish. You call it a weak fish. Some people down here call it a spotted trout. But did you know that it's actually a drum?
Oh, we're going deep into the woods now.
Well, it is, right?
It is a drum.
It is a drum, and I know people that call them spotted trout. An interesting thing about
it's in that same family.
Okay.
That drums are in. So
well, some people down here actually call them drums instead of spotted trouts. I've known people that did anyway. And they got teeth too. That's another interesting thing about those.
And redfish are drum, and speckled trout are drum, and freshwater drum are drum. And weak fish are drum.
Strong fish are deeper in the ocean, I think. I actually think there might be a strong fish. Let's see. I got a book right here. It tells me.
Strong.
I have a book or two.
Water strong fish.
Well, let's look here. I happen to have a book.
So there's white trout and speckled trout and weak fish.
What is that backwards? I must not have my camera turned on right. No, it's right. Why is that reading? I guess it is. Anyway.
It's not backwards for us, buddy.
Oh, okay. This says Atlantic coast fish. So let's look. I was thinking there was something that people called a strong fish, but I could be wrong.
So there's
That won't be a first time.
I don't think so.
Well, maybe not. I mean, like I said, I've been wrong before. I remember one day last week I was wrong, I think.
I'm wrong most days.
Well, there is a strong Elora.
Just ask my beautiful bride.
Yeah, I bet she wouldn't say that. I found something similar. It's called a strong Elora. But it ain't. It's some kind of. It's one of those needlefish kind of thing. I think a bony fish. There is Tina. You'll be glad to know though there is a houndfish. It doesn't say if they're blue tick or red bone. So, we could start breaking that down, and And
it whiffled through the Toggy Woods and burbled.
Was a game. Anyway, isn't it amazing how many fish there are? I mean, this book is just about Atlantic coast fishes. It's not even covering the Bahamas or the Virgin Islands. Probably it might.
So they have weak mouths or jaws. Kind of like a crappie.
You can hook. Yeah, crappie are bad about that.
You don't want to break their jaw when you set the hook, because you ain't going to get them in.
Well, see, now that I've got my book out, I can't just put it back up. We got to look at a couple things here. 189.
Well, you hear that, Donnie? Danny, what? You hear that, Danny? He's sleeping right here on the couch.
Now you're over my head. What
movie? We're talking about houndfish.
Oh, hound. Oh, Danny. Oh. Okay, gotcha. All right.
My goodness.
I see that now.
Good morning, Dave.
Morning, Dave. What page stuff at? 189. See,
Our
Sam, here we go.
our 5 loyal listeners.
Oh yeah. All right. I'm in the drum family here. Drums. Wow, there's actually a lot more drum fish than I realized there weren't. Croakers. Well, I knew croakers were there. There's even a silver perch on the East Coast. It's a drum. Then we got high hats and chubby ewes and jackknife fish. Spotted drum, which is what I think maybe some people call it. Well, I don't know. It's similar to a
trout.
Southern kingfish, Gulf kingfish, northern kingfish, sand drum, Atlantic croaker, black drum, spot, red drum. They got a sand sea trout, which is again a drum, a silver sea trout, a spotted sea trout. Now that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Actually, this thing says there are actually 2 subspecies. There is a spotted sea trout and a weakfish. One has bluish gray above, and one has dark olive to bluish above. That's coloration on their back, by the way. Okay, Tim, I gotta know. Is this your main subject matter? Is this a squirrel? Tina, I am insulted.
You're just facing a squirrel, Tina.
It's a squirrel. All right. I can take a hint.
We're not talking about this today.
John brought this up. No, Martin did. Fishing came up. Good morning, Brenda Pruitt. Yeah, Tina just called me out down for being off subject. I gotta get on topic.
We were supposed to talk about beaver trapping.
We're going to. We're fixing to. So I might as well get on there. We always
and why we exist as a nation.
We always
and Canada. I'm sorry, Mike isn't on.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about that too.
We are talking about the fur trade, John.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're talking mainly about the western part of it. And there is kind of a difference. It was handled differently, the way things were done. So let me open up the page.
She's counting the squirrels.
Well, she's not been counting them lately. I think it got too much.
We got too far off.
That's possible. Oh, well, guess what I got to do?
I don't know.
I gotta fix something because I had to shut down and it reset. All right, now I got it.
Oh.
You'd think I could set that and it would never change, but no, it doesn't work that way. Now, let's see. I gotta hit that button that says present. There it is. Share screen. So there we go. Did I see? No, I thought I saw somebody new. It's not. It's just Dave.
There's a glowing lodge.
I like that lodge picture. That's right there, and you can see inside that picture are people sitting about chatting.
I love that photo.
That's
but if you notice, there's no liner.
Good point. That's true. So that ain't really a lodge for sleeping in, probably just for sitting around in. That's not, from here and the judging by the shadows, that lodge might be about the size you want that you're getting.
Yeah, but I have a liner for it.
Well, I know. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the general size. Now that I look at it, that's
about that size.
about the right size. So we are going to talk about Rendezvous today, and we're going to talk about that Western fur trade period, and then we're going to kind of move into how people sort of, not what word, I lost my word, not replicate. It'll come to me in a minute. Pretend like that's, we like to go do that sort of thing. What the hell? What word am I looking for? Reenact that time period. See, I knew it started with an R. So we're going to do that, and as I'll point out probably again, back when these things were happening, the camera hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah.
Or at least if it had, it wasn't, portable, usable. Nobody had one. It wasn't like Bill Tyler walked out into the.
I don't think they had them yet.
With his Nikon or even his pocket Kodak or anything back then.
He didn't have his cell phone on him.
He didn't have a cell phone on him, unlike today. And so that's one reason why I have to use modern pictures.
Which is why he was probably happier.
Possibly. But also because that's why I have to use modern day pictures to show what it was kind of like. What was last night fun? How was last night fun, Dave? I see we're allowed to meet. This is a meet and greet kind of thing. Should say hi. It was fun last night.
I was lurking in your stream yesterday.
Am I missing something?
I'm just laughing at the comments.
Well, I don't see that comment.
I love them.
Oh, there it is. Carol says I was lurking in your stream yesterday. Okay, got it. Now I'm caught up.
I love the word lurking.
And John was there too, and he said he couldn't stay awake last night. Well, lurking's kind of a good word. People lurk and they ninja. When it comes to social media and the internet, we words are important, but they get used differently a little bit. Stream last night got to announce I get fun. Oh, really, Dave? Excellent. I'm sorry I missed that. Actually, by the time you were on, I had shut down and gone to the house.
So I got up at 6 this morning.
Yeah, I did too.
Maybe a little before 6, and let the dogs out. Let some of the dogs out. And 2 of them left. and so I've already been out, like, driving around looking for dogs.
Oh, no, the 2 that usually run off?
The 2 that always run off. And I have them both back into my zone now, so.
Well, Tina, I'm glad you came.
They were lurking about somewhere. I'm not sure where yet.
What do you think's going on with that? That's the second or third time they've run away lately.
They just do that every now and again, just like we got to go on a walkabout. They did not go to town today, so that was good.
That's good.
They appeared to have just gone out to the west and we're looking for cows or whatever.
Well, at least they didn't. I mean, maybe they were headed for Kimmer. That's west.
They might have been. They might have been heading towards town.
That's a bigger town. If they go, I'm thinking.
All 2,500 of them.
Yeah. Well, but compared to Opal, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
If they
They
went
did,
south
they
of
did
you,
not go to the highway, which is a good thing.
that's good. Now, if they headed south from you, how far would they have to go to find a town, or
Uh,
even a large group of people?
about 52 miles.
Okay, I knew it. I knew it was a little. We have GPS. Oh, do you? Not that it saves. Like, no, but you know where to go, Tina. So in a way, it could save legs because
Not
you
that
don't
it
have to walk around.
saves, not that it saves legs or anything.
Oh well, now that's too. I'm sorry, I took that wrong. No, Danny, we're not laughing at you, buddy. We're laughing with you.
And we're just laughing with you, bud.
Just so you know.
And we know you'll be good.
You'll be good.
As long as you got 3, you're fine.
I've seen a dog or so with 2 that were pretty darn good.
Really?
Yes, there's a lady that I'm not going to mention her name or anything, but been on TV before, and she had a boxer, or they had a boxer that only had 2 legs, 2 front legs. I can't remember why the hip they had that. I don't know what the deal was with that dog, but that dog could get up on those front legs and run down the beach. I mean, it could fly. It was amazing.
Well, my best dog ever, her daddy was a 3-legged dog, and we've talked about him before, but
Yeah.
you would never have known that dog had 4 legs, that he needed 4 legs. He didn't have any issues. I hunted miles over that dog, and he never had any issue whatsoever.
Isn't that something? It's amazing how they get along. And people, I used to think,
And deer, I've seen. I mean, I've given my business and your business. I've
Yeah.
seen so many deer with 3 legs, and so many pronghorn with 3 legs, and so many elk with 3 legs, and it's like it just doesn't seem like it bothers them.
Well, a pronghorn is one of the fastest animals on earth. That's true, right?
Second fastest.
Well, I said one of, but yeah, second fastest. How are they any slower if they've got 3 legs? I mean, have you ever noticed
Not
that?
at all.
That's interesting.
I've never seen them like miss a step.
Tina says Danny would be a wrecking crew with 2 legs. Tina, the GPS didn't specifically say. Carol says if the GPS didn't specifically say does not save legs, I think you have a valid lawsuit. Donuts are on Tina and Chuck next week, everybody. That's only if they win the lawsuit. That's a good point, Tina, Carol. These things should be spelled out.
With our show, we probably need less intelligent and less hilarious humans.
Well, you may have. I never thought about it that way. You might. Oh man. Hit the like button, guys.
You guys make my ribs hurt every Saturday.
Well, they were hurting yesterday. I had them hurting last night.
Oh. And there's too many of them that have been broken, and I'm like, stop it.
Well, you do know it. Once
you'll have that in your lesser societies.
How fast is a jackalope?
As fast as it can.
Fast as it can go. I don't know. That's a good question, John. I'm not sure they've ever been qualified.
I wrote so I used to do a monthly article for our magazine, critter of the month. And I'd just come up with some species and write an article about it. And in April of one year, I did an article on the jackalope. And they could only breed like during lightning strikes. And,
Okay.
it was just a spoof for April Fools, and everybody loved it. And they're quick. Jackalopes are quick.
We should find that and read that in the show one Saturday.
Oh, I wish I had all those.
I
wrote hundreds.
Yeah,
I wrote hundreds of them.
Do what?
Horn lizards and whatever, painted turtles. And
I'm trying to think if I ever had a copy of that. For some reason, I almost want to say I did.
You might have. I wrote hundreds of them.
Well, I get that, but
it was all, they were just like one-page deals that we did for the magazine.
All right.
And yeah, critter of the month was what I called it.
Real or otherwise?
Well, the only unreal one was the jackalope.
Okay.
Anyway,
we could have come up with some more.
Oh yeah, Wampus cats and.
Oh yeah, for example.
For example,
that might be more of a southern critter. I don't know. Maybe the people of Wyoming wouldn't.
They were supposed to be Wyoming creatures. So.
I'd say there you go. I think Wampus cats are more of a southeastern thing.
Yeah, they're down in your country.
Like swamp apes. See, there's another one.
Or the Cherokee howler.
Cherokee howler. You got to wonder how many people believed it. You're probably more spot on than you think.
So when we would drive over my cattle guard with my grandbabies, I'd tell them about the troll that lived underneath the cattle guard. And then Sam came up with this opal howler creature and told the kids about that. And my oldest grandson finally said, the opal howler is as real as the troll that lives underneath the cattle guard.
I wonder where he heard that.
He had figured out that the troll wasn't real. Finally.
See, when children lose their they lose that spark of imagination.
When children lose that imagination, it's a bad day.
That shouldn't happen so young. See, that's why I still believe in Santa Claus. What a fun family legend. Do you remember a story? I wrote a story one time to you that wasn't published. And we were discussing the attributes and faults of hunting wildlife. I got a bug with feather fletched arrows because they use turkey feathers, and we decided that flocks of turkeys were maybe ganging up on deer, and therefore deer would smell our our fletchings, and that's why they would spook when we shot at them. I need to go back and see if I've got a copy of that anywhere. I don't know if you recall that or not. Gangs.
I remember that.
It might have been more prehistoric gangs of turkeys, but that was why, and that caused deer to be more cognizant of us in the woods with feathered arrows. If we hunted the goose feather
bugs flying around too.
Huh?
I have a bug flying around too, and it's not even warm enough for a bug, hardly.
That's why he's inside, not outside. I had my door open for a while this morning. I think he
It
came
ain't
in.
even
Okay.
that warm in the house.
Well, there you go. I don't know then.
I
Okay.
got up this morning and the heater was running.
Well, it's too early in the year for that, probably.
And that's just not right, dude.
Okay. Usually on this day, I usually talk about this day, but I wanted to talk about a couple of things last week, and I didn't get to talk about them last week, so I think I'm going to talk about those today. So we're backing up a week, folks, and not only a week, but a century in history. And I wanted, because on it was actually like last Friday that these things would have happened. In 1836, for example, Sam Houston was elected president of the new Texas Republic. Now, see, Sam Houston, I like to talk about Sam Houston because he lived for a long time in the state of Tennessee, and he was born in Virginia, in Rockbridge County. In fact, there's been a lot of famous people born in Rockbridge County. I think there's even a song about that. And his father's name was also Samuel. His mother was Elizabeth. And they were both Scots-Irish immigrants. So there you go. Our people.
Well, Ulster Scots.
Yep. And they settled in America in the 1730s.
Which were not Irish people. They were Scots.
Yeah, okay. True. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and they settled it. He inherited. I don't know. They didn't explain where he inherited from. Timber Ridge Plantation and Mansion in Rockbridge County, Virginia. During the war, his father was served in Morgan's Rifle Brigade. Mark, I thought you and I
really,
yeah, he was in Sam Houston's father was in Morgan's Rifle Brigade, which was very famous.
Which was the same regiment my grandpa served in.
Oh, you're kidding! I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Morgan's Rifles came out of the 8th Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I did know that. That's true. I forgot about that. We've talked about that before. Well, that's cool. I didn't know. Here they go. Here's a 6 degrees of separation thing happening right here.
There you go. We got like we're talking about Kevin Bacon.
Oh no, we won't go there. So anyway, Samuel Sr. spent a lot of his time in the military. And in doing so, his farm his plantation sort of fell to ruin. So he decided to sell it. He was going to move into Tennessee. They were going to move to West Tennessee, and where land was less expensive. But he died in 1806 before that could happen. So Elizabeth, Sam Jr.'s mother, sold everything, but they didn't move to West Tennessee. They simply moved to Maryville. Now, Maryville, as we say here, is just right down the road, and that's where near Philip.
Down by where Philip's house is at.
Yeah, and what's even more neater about this, is that a word? More neater? Can you say more?
I get it.
Carol, you can decide whether you're teaching. You may not. Your teacher here may not want to hear that. Sam Jr. never liked to farm. I'm going to get to. There's another cool thing about this. Just a second. Sam never liked to farm, so he went out and joined the army pretty quick. Well, actually, first off, he ran away and lived with the Cherokee Indians on Hiwassee Island, which is on the Tennessee River, Hiwassee, Tennessee River. I've been all in that country because part of where we worked was in Hiwassee, and the reservoir now named for that, and the other ones that are Cherokee. There's a lot of Cherokee land in the Tennessee Valley. Some still is. There's a big museum and some other stuff. Anyway, so he became very close with the Cherokees. He learned their language. He lived with them. He became known as the Raven. And there have been a couple of movies about that. I know. I don't know if it was Sam Elliott. Might have been Sam Elliott played a part one time where he was the Raven. Anyway, he eventually left the tribe and went to Maryville. That's where Phil lives, remember? And he got hired in at the age of 19 as a schoolmaster in a one-room schoolhouse. That schoolhouse is just a couple of miles from where Philip lives.
Oh, cool.
So I thought that's mainly why all this is in here. And I mean, most people know Sam Houston as being, Texan, and he fought with the Texas Army against Santa Anna and defeated him at San Jacinto, or San Jacinta, which it is. And because of that, he was actually, that's the biggest reason he was elected the first president of Texas, because of that victory. There was another gentleman there who had a whole lot more to do with creating the Republic of Texas, and Stephen Austin, and most people thought he would be the president, but he was not. Sam Houston beat him out at least the first time around. He might have been the second president, but they named a town after him. Well, they named a town after both of them. There's Houston and there's Austin, Texas. So they both got recognized. But anyway, that schoolhouse is just up the road. I used to drive by it every time I went to Philip's house. And you can go there and tour it. I think there's a small fee. I can't remember if it's state owned or if that's all privately owned now. But anyway, it's been restored or kept up. And so anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about Sam Houston today. The other thing that happened last week would have been last week. And I believe this was also would have been last Friday, which is the 5th of September. And I put this in because of Mark.
Oh, no.
Huh?
Shunk of a con.
1877 on September the 5th. The Indian that most of us know as Crazy Horse, or most commonly known as Crazy Horse, was killed at Fort Robinson, Nebraska. And that was all. So I was going to talk about that last week also. Now, Mark has been to this location. And I wanted to ask you, Mark, can you see that picture? Do you remember that little monument on the left when you were there?
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird to me. Weird, one of those weird. He's always been my hero. And one of those weird spiritual, strange happenings. I was at that spot on the left, and I look down, there's like a brown stone there, which he wore behind his ear. He wore a brown stone behind his ear when he was in battle. And there was a kestrel flying over my head, like, which he also wore on the back of his head.
You guys don't know how spooky that kind of is. I mean, these things
and I was just like weird. I was way weirded out.
And you were how old? Tell them how old you were when this happened.
Oh, probably 35.
No, you weren't 35, were you?
No, probably not. Probably not quite yet.
Well, I know you had a T-shirt when you were a kid.
Oh, this started way back. Like,
okay.
So when I found the stone and the hawk was flying over my head, I was probably in my 30s.
Okay.
But it went way back before that. I mean, heck, I was like 5 years old when I first started learning about this man, and I had a patch on my blue jeans.
Yeah, it was a patch.
Mom had sewed a patch on my blue jeans that we had got at the Little Bighorn National Monument that said Custer had it coming.
You're prophetic that was for a child.
And then I've been to that monument that they're building for him several times.
You can't go up there on the work site, can you? Or can you?
No, they've got a well, you could go up there if you wanted to volunteer to help.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you don't do it just as a matter of going there as a tourist.
And it's way more developed than that now.
Yeah, I just found that picture and used it.
They have a model of what the sculpture is supposed to look like eventually. And my buddy, I just went to a funeral of my buddy that was married to this guy's oldest daughter. It's just weird.
The guy who's currently doing
the guy that started this sculpture on that mountain, my buddy, my good brother, was like married to his oldest daughter long time ago. And they divorced, but anyway, that guy that was building this, there were many adventures and misadventures, but they're still working on it. I've seen Mike Rowe like up there working on that sculpture.
Okay, I've got to show something because I found something new, and I've answered one of my own questions. Dang it! Hang on, I lost everything here. I didn't shut you guys off, did I?
No, you're good.
Yeah, well, I'm good on your side. I'm not good on my side. What did I do? What have I done?
We can see you and hear you.
Okay, well, I'm glad because I can't.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna turn us off for a minute, guys. Not off, but you can't see that, can you? Can you see the new picture there?
All I see is you and I, buddy.
Okay, well, I gotta find. There we are. Somehow I got moved over on the other screen, and I hid myself. So I apologize, guys. I'll get back on track here. No, that's not it either. That's the wrong thing. That's the regular show screen. I did cut ourselves off. What the heck did I do? All right. Bear with me just a moment. I got to turn me back on. I'm glad it didn't kill the stream. I'm glad you're still there because otherwise, you are still there, aren't you?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
See ya.
I'm gathering up candy.
I was in here. I've got myself in here twice. Look at this. Look, there's two of me.
I don't know if I could take that.
I don't know.
If there were twins, I don't think I could take that. Now it's just me.
Trying to get rid of me.
I didn't walk away. I just went up. Walked around the table to get candy.
I got at least. Am I still here? Yeah, I'm still here.
Yikes.
Tina, that was scary to me too.
If there was two of him, we just could not stand it. Oh, come here.
My wife just fell asleep. She's not saying anything.
Wolfgang. Wolfie. Come here, buddy.
All right.
Wolfgang. Wolfgang. Now it's just me again. Come here, bud. Wolfie. There you are. Sorta. But we can't hear you. You're talking, but you're not saying nothing.
Probably a good thing you can't hear.
There you are.
Oh, I'm here. I just can't figure out how to get rid of it. Well, I can mute. I'm not having any fun at the moment. Now, why is it echo?
Leave it. We can hear you now.
But I'm hearing myself. I can't talk like this. I gotta fix this, or I can't sit here and talk about anything. Because if I'm gotta get rid of this. Now here's dog.
Yes, Tina, I'm getting dizzy. Hey. That's how we hear him.
I'm gonna take you off, and I'll be back. We'll both be back. Hang on. My still echoing. I'm echoing. Bad. I can't get rid of my double self.
Hear you twice.
Too. You stay here. I'm not going anywhere. You stay. He left. Shit. God, apologize. What the hell? I wish you hadn't left. I would have kept the window open. There you are.
Here I are. Are you back?
No, I'm back. I'm still messed up. I'm still trying to get rid of this extra image.
How do people make YouTube videos?
Well, this is why I'm obviously not professional. I don't know why.
I see successful ones all the time.
All right, you stay put. Let me see what happens.
No say.
Didn't fix it.
Your video's good. Your audio is really bad.
I'm being honest. I believe that, Tina. Okay, Mark. I'm gonna I'm gonna shut it down again. Give me a minute and then you come back in.
Okay.
Guys, hang on. I'm hoping this doesn't kill the stream. Okay, can you guys hear me now? I think I fixed it. Somebody let me know if you can hear me. Mark, I hope will be right back. Dang it. So while we're waiting on them to come back, I'll share this screen again and I'll show you the image. We only see in here one of you, and Mark sounding looks fine, but you sound is waving in and out. Okay. That's what I was trying to do. He'll be back in a second, I'm sure. This is a newer image of the Crazy Horse monument, and it looks to me like they are now allowing people up there along the top of the arm. Hey, Kay. Guys, I apologize for the confusion there. I'm going to try not to make anybody sick here, but I'm going to scroll down. Wow, look at that. Look at that. I thought they had a small picture of the statue. And detail on that face. Crazy Horse, South Dakota. Anyway, it's quite fascinating. And I read that this is the largest sculptured face of a human being on Earth to date that's ever been done. I was hoping I might show a few more pictures, but these are the main. But you can go up there now, I'm sure, for a small fee, but I'm sure that's how they're helping fund it. And they've got chain link fence around this walkway. This is as long as the arm, which is outstretched. Anyway, that's the Crazy Horse Monument Memorial. So I was wanting to show that. And now I will stop showing that and I'll go back to my regularly scheduled program. And I will try not to make that mistake again. Now, hopefully Mark will be back in a minute. Good morning, Kay. I hope you're doing well. Guys, I'm sorry about all that. I can honestly say that has never happened. And what had happened was somehow I had two StreamYard windows open at the same time. So I was in both of them. There you are, buddy.
I'm back.
You missed the picture I showed everybody. there's some new photographs up on like their website, and they are letting some people up there now along the top of the arm, because there were people taking pictures of, up close to his face and that kind of stuff. I was telling them that another thing that's about that I read about the monument was that is the largest man-made or sculptured face that's ever existed. So way bigger than the, I guess a lot bigger or some bigger than the Rushmore heads.
Yeah, it's significantly larger than Rushmore.
Now this picture is a sketch that was made in the it was made sometime after he was killed, and the story goes, Mark probably knows more about this than me, that this was something that Crazy Horse's wife said was correct. She described this to an artist and he drew it, but nobody knows if that's really true. Have you ever heard that story?
Yeah, so the man was never photographed. He didn't believe in that. He didn't want his
soul captured or whatever.
Captured. He spent so much time avoiding white folks that like they never would have photographed him anyway.
No.
He didn't like hanging about with he had friends that were white people, but not very many, and they weren't photographers, and he didn't want his soul captured, and the face on the monument is the least looking Lakota person I could even imagine him looking like. Actually, it doesn't look like a Native American at all.
No, I'd have to agree. But it may be refined more as the time goes on. I don't know.
But yeah, he was never photographed. This one drawing was done that apparently looks somewhat like what he looked like. So anyway,
if you look it up, there is a photograph that was in the, or may still be in.
There's a bunch of photos that are like, this is Crazy Horse.
Yeah,
and one of the guys that was photographed that they said this is Crazy Horse was a guy that actually held his arms when they stuck him with a bayonet at Fort Robinson.
And that's a key thing too. Crazy Horse.
That's Little Big Man.
Yeah, Little Big Man. There's a lad, Crazy Horse, spiritually he was never a chief. He was a leader. He was never a chief, but he was almost more of a shaman type in some ways. And his vision in life said that white men could never kill him. And
his own people.
It would have to be from his own people. And in fact, like Mark just said,
what happened.
Little Big Man held his arms, actually held him when the guy stabbed him. So if it hadn't been for Little Big Man, well, he happened to be the guy standing there, I guess, maybe he never would have, maybe they wouldn't have killed him, and maybe he would have lived to a ripe old age. But
that stone on the left side of that photo, that's where they killed him.
Not where, that's not where his body ended up.
That's the spot where he was standing when they killed him. And he was taken somewhere north to South Dakota to be buried. Well, he was put on a scaffold, which was the way of that people. And then his bones were later interned somewhere.
And nobody knows where.
And hopefully nobody ever finds him.
No. Yeah, that's a little bit. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Native Americans that died in battle and whatnot that we'll never know where they were, ended up. But the two important ones that I can think of are Cochise and Crazy Horse. Cochise supposedly was taken up into the mountains, and nobody ever found his body either. Or they made sure that nobody knew where it was at because they didn't want him violated in whatever way white men would have violated them, or
Yeah.
other name.
Here, have a toothpick made out of the guy's long bone.
Do what?
I mean, in those days it would have been like, we'll make toothpicks out of his long bones or whatever.
Yeah, stuff
Just
like that happened.
disgusting stuff.
So anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about. That, and I have one more slide here. Let's go to that, and I'll get back on the main
How did we
subject.
get on to Crazy Horse?
Because it was last Friday was the anniversary of his death.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to talk about it for you, buddy, because I know what a hero he was to you. I mean, I think he was important also, but not like, I mean, you have been attached to Crazy Horse all your life. And anyway, I just wanted to remember 9/11 was also this past week. My son-in-law's birthday is also that day, so it's something we kind of remember every year anyway. I always hated that for him. Because that's what people think about more than his birthday when you say that. And as Mark's already pointed out, political violence is never the answer. We found that again this week. I don't want to go into that either, but anyway, I wanted to mention it. So there it is. That's out there in the universe. So now let's get back to the fur trade rendezvous, which is what we were supposed to talk about all along. Let me put my fly swat up. I was trying to kill that bug. It was some kind of a little bee, by the way, a wasp. It was a little black wasp.
Is it a Jeller jacket?
It wasn't a yellow jacket. I'd have been more excited if it'd been a yellow jacket. I'd have made sure he died.
We had him at the house last week. Like, I'm like, what are you doing here, buddy? We were trapping crawfish and we had caught some fish my daughter had caught some fish for bait. And I'm out there like cutting up fish to make crawfish bait out of, and here come the meat bees, as they call them out here.
Well, now I have two questions. How did the crawfish boil go?
No, it was wonderful.
Did you catch a lot? Were you able to get a lot of mud bugs for that? I mean, was it like still plenty?
Oh, I had tons.
And second question,
and my people like ate till they were like nearly bursting, and and my southern in-laws, my oldest son-in-law's parents live in Alabama, and they were up here, and both of them said these are the best crawfish we've ever eaten in our life.
Oh, good.
I was ecstatic.
How was the seasoning?
I don't even think I ate that whole day.
You were cooking. You probably did.
I was cooking, and people were enjoying themselves, and none of the kids were fighting with each other, and it was just like, it was perfect. It was a perfect day.
How was the seasoning?
You don't get perfect days very often. How was the seasoning?
Yeah, you and I have discussed this off. I mean, another.
I cooked the potatoes, mushrooms, corn. What else?
Sausage.
Kielbasa.
Yeah, kielbasa.
By itself, and just put a little bit of seasoning on it, just a little bit, because sometimes the girls are like, "You're making these too hot."
Well, that's what last time we talked about.
Corn and potatoes, especially, soak that stuff up, and it gets a little zingy. So I really kept it really light, and then I dumped the crawfish in separately and boiled them, and threw a pile of seasoning in on them.
Well, your
And
son-in-law.
the girls don't eat a lot of crawfish anyway. So,
There you
well, the oldest daughter does, but the rest of them don't. And she's the best crawfish peeler I've ever seen. and, and
Who is?
my Jessie,
Yes,
our oldest daughter, she's the best. She's the best at peeling crawfish that anybody I've ever seen. And then the, the boys. So Samuel, my son, and my oldest son-in-law and his father. I put all those crawfish and everything in a little plastic kiddie pool
which is a great idea.
and they stood out there and ate crawfish till they had a pile this high.
Well, that's good.
And yeah, we didn't have any leftover crawfish, which was good. I would prefer that they eat all of them, and then I don't have to peel them and make whatever out of them later. My wife made some dip out of last year's crawfish. Oh my God, it was good.
Yeah, I bet it was. Hey, I have to say on that question, some people would say it's unethical to feed any wildlife, but most of us have done it, so I can't say it's it. I mean, I've done it. If I had one in the yard, I'd probably feed it too. But so I'm not going to say it's unethical. I mean, you have to make a decision. Now, it may not. What you feed them may or may not be the best for them. People have a habit of feeding wildlife things they really don't need to eat.
Right.
And that kills a lot of wildlife. For example, bears are terrible about that because once bears learn about, honey buns, then they'll go through your tent and your truck and your car and your cooler and anything else they can find to get.
So our saying was always a fed bear is a dead bear.
Fed bear is a dead bear. So, you kind of have to weigh that. But a woodchuck.
The food doesn't kill it, but the fact that it breaking into stuff makes the department kill it.
Yeah, and that's bad.
Because it's a dangerous animal.
Yeah, and
a fed woodchuck, I would feed it up pretty good, and then maybe.
No, don't say that. I know what you're.
I'll stop there.
Hey, you're not going to eat it, so just don't worry about it.
I'll stop there.
I'd say you're fine if you've got one in your feet. I mean, I've known.
Have I eaten woodchuck, or as we would call it, a groundhog?
Groundhog, yeah.
Yes, I have eaten many of them, and they're good.
That probably wasn't her thing, Kay. Carrots wouldn't bother. Trust me, they'd eat those right out of your garden.
Carrots won't hurt them. Any of that kind of stuff.
My uncles growing up, a lot of my kinfolk they would go out and find them, and they had pet groundhogs at one time or another in their life.
All of us did.
Well, I didn't have one. I wanted one, but I didn't have one. But yeah, it was pretty common. So you got there's always somebody that's going to say no, don't feed any wildlife, and there are many cases where you should not feed wildlife. Feeding the groundhog in your yard is probably not a big deal. She has no plan on eating him, so
yeah,
I would say that would be ethical. If you're fattening him up for the pot, some people might say that's unethical, but I would not worry about it. You're fine, I'd say.
That's
my opinion anyway.
Just go ahead and feed him. He's not going to hurt anything.
You'd be surprised. I mean, they can be pretty friendly animals if if you're not threatening. And feeding one, especially if he starts getting used to it, you probably make a buddy right there, him or her. You might even have you might end up with a whole yard full if you keep it up.
Anyway,
back to the
people feeding marmots all the time out here. which
which
are,
are same thing kind of animal.
I
Or
mean,
same,
they're first cousins to
yeah,
groundhogs, and
our groundhogs. Growing up, that's I'm getting sidetracked. That's a squirrel. We'll go while that. I'm
yeah,
stopping.
that is a squirrel. It's the
Big
world's largest squirrel, by the way.
Yeah. So let's talk about the fur trade. Well, we're going to talk. We talked about beads, and I've talked about things that were trade goods before. But there is a famous, at least to some people, period of time that was roughly from the 1820s to the 1840s that gets a lot of people excited. There's movies. There's been movies back. There's rendezvous. People dress up. I've got period clothing that I've used to wear, and you know, it's an interesting time in history, but it really didn't last very long. 25 years is probably stretching it on that end. I mean, not that there wasn't trade going on between natives even up before that and after that, but this is the time period when it was a really big deal. And this painting is by Alfred Jacob Miller, and he tiled this Sioux Indians in the mountains. We don't have, I said earlier, we don't have photographs of this time period, and we don't. But there were a few artists that went out west, and this guy in particular, Miller, was invited and taken out west with Captain William Drummond Stewart, who was someone who went out with the Rendezvous, the fur trading companies, one of them, and he invited him along to do just this, to record as much of the lifestyle, the people, I don't know how to put that exactly, the natives, the trappers that were out there. They wanted somebody to try to document as much of it as they could, which was pretty pretty good ideas considering. Like I said, there's no pocket cameras. Nobody can go out and take a photograph. So what we have mostly is Jacob's drawings. Now other or Miller's, I mean. Now Kate Catlin did some, and there are other artists that did some, but this guy was there during this time period that we're talking about today. And I don't know, I can't remember what years Catlin was out there, but I mean, he did a lot of similar paintings, but like I said, Miller was actually taken out there for this purpose. Um, he came back home with like books full of sketches and drawings that he eventually turned into a lot of these paintings, some more famous than others. So I'm using a lot of his images for this show because it's mostly all we had. So anyway, so this all started by a couple of different things. The trade came to America as early as the late 16th century because as the Europeans started coming over here, they started finding all kinds of things that they wanted. But the thing that really got them excited was beaver pelts, and it was because of that thing in the bottom corner that got everybody worked up because these hats and other styles of hats made from beaver became all the rage in Europe. And
that one.
this literally fueled exactly like he's got on his head. This, I don't know what to call it, not a fad. This whole thing fueled empires, and created wars. I mean, there was all this whole thing about the beaver trade and the fur trade, period. But in this case, beavers were driving most of it early on. Was made. I mean, some would say that the French and Indian War was kind of about this too, because we had English traders, the Hudson Bay Company was trying to move in. They had the French companies that were trying to hold what they already had, and the French had a different idea of how to do it than the English did. This was all in the East. So I'm going to move past these guys and get out further west. The French they traveled in these big canoes around the Great Lakes primarily, and all the rivers that fed the Great Lakes. but the way they did it was they went out, met the Indians, they traded on site, they brought stuff back. That's why they used the canoes, but they had water. The thing is, they had water to transport these loads in. Out west, you didn't have that so much. The Cour de Bois started in the late, as early as 1608. And by the end of all this, trade had spread all the way out to the far ends of the Great Lakes and beyond, but not to the Rocky Mountains, which were a little bit south of that at that point. But they came down the Mississippi. I mean, New Orleans was actually a fur trading capital. They brought stuff down eventually. I mean, it was all tied together. So then the British did it kind of different. Like I said, they went in and built forts and trading posts more than the French did. The French had locations, but they were more of a travel out, bring it back to their settlement like Quebec or Montreal. The British created forts like Detroit and other things. They invited the trade to come to them in many ways. So the Hudson's Bay Company was one of the first major companies that did this. And these companies, again, they started in the east, but they're going to move west. The Hudson Bay Company was actually founded in 1670 under a charter issued by King Charles II. And I don't know where he got permission for this, but he granted the company the right to sole trade and commerce in, the New World, not counting the French or anybody else, because, that's how they did things back then. And but that plaque is actually does exist in London, on supposedly the spot or near the spot of the building where this all happened. The middle picture is kind of an example of a Hudson Bay trading post. Mark, was Salish House a Hudson Bay post? I thought it was.
Yep.
And that was in Whitefish? No.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Whitefish? Okay. Some friends of Mark's and his family and mine, and I think Brenda may have met them, or at least Caroline. I can't remember how she pronounced her name. They actually reopened. I don't know how you describe it, but they had a company that they called the Salish House, which was after this British trading post that was in Whitefish, Montana, at one point. And this drawing on the right is, again, no cameras, so we had drawings from, I don't know who did this drawing, but it's supposed to show a native woman in a Hudson Bay blanket, which were really one of the main things they traded in. And Mark has some. I have some blankets. Hudson Bay blankets are just so wonderful. They're such beautiful wool blankets, and they are expensive nowadays. I don't know if you've priced them lately, but man, they are expensive. They were never cheap, but they're really expensive now. Many hundreds of dollars. I can remember when we were buying them from somebody at Friendship. Well, they might have been the other version of a Hudson blanket, which was authentic, but it wasn't Hudson Bay. Can't think of the name of them. But we were getting them for I want to say somewhere around $100, give or take a little bit. And we were getting them at a deal. Now and that was in the late 70s, early 80s, and now they're $600, $700, $800. They're really expensive. They're really nice, but they are really expensive.
They make
you still made the same place.
They'll make you hunt miller moths, like.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, you don't want the moths getting in your Hudson Bay blankets.
And no, Tina, they're not a wool skin combination. They're just wool.
They're just good old sheep's fur.
but they're I can roll up in one of those and sleep like a baby.
They're thicker.
But if they touch my wife,
he doesn't like them.
She likes calmer fibers.
Fibers. Okay. They made everything out of these blankets. They weren't all Hudson Bay blankets, but they
You
made
can roll up in buffalo robe or a Hudson Bay blanket and be just happy as a clam
happy as a clam and warm as toast.
and warm.
Interesting thing about wool is we have a lot of fibers today that they created to wick sweat and do things like that with for outdoor activities. Wool, these Hudson would actually keep you warm when they're wet. And
Even
I've been
when it's wet.
one, and it kept me warm, soaking wet many times. And it wasn't even a good Hudson Bay. It was something.
I went through the ice in a capote,
which is a coat.
I slid out on the ice because my dog went through the ice. I slid out on the ice and grabbed her, and we both broke through. Was over my head. I just kept bouncing back to the bank, breaking ice. I just shoved her up over my head and broke the ice with the dog because she couldn't swim very well. She was a pointer, and I wasn't happy, but I survived to get back to the house.
Did you leave that on while it drip dried?
I just left it on until I got home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're great blankets. Yep. And when you first give them, I mean, everybody thinks wool is itchy and all that, and some people, I guess it is, but to me, Hudson Bay blankets, especially when they're newer, are just soft and I mean, they're like a mother's embrace, as some people say. They're just so warm and comforting. They're amazing. They're just amazing. I love my Hudson Bay blankets or my blankets. What's the name of that other company?
Whitney.
Whitney's. Whitney was another version of the same kind of blanket, and they were, last I knew, which is what I think I have. They were still being made in the same mill, the weaving factory that they were being made in the 1700s.
Yeah.
And which I thought was just wonderful. That's why wool scarves are so popular, because they keep your neck warm. Yeah, that's right, Tina. Wool is an amazing fiber. I mean, and of course, I'm sure that has something to do with the lanolin that's in it, but they will keep you warm. I mean, it's really good stuff. Okay, but the Hudson Bay Company made them and traded them with the tribes. Yes, they did. Yes, Tina, I'm sorry. They traded them for beaver pelts, and other furs. But again, the beaver pelt itself was the thing that really drove a lot of this. They did use other furs, but the beaver is the best fur for making a hat because it's more waterproof than other. They make hats now. They make a lot of cowboy hats using rabbit fur or rabbit felt. But
this is beaver.
That's beaver. Yeah. What brand does that
it's
have?
The good stuff.
It's
a Catalina hat. It's a
Catalina. Okay.
Catalina made the original Augustus McCrae hat and Lonesome Dove. And this is it. This is that hat.
This is that hat. And this is my dog. Anyway.
And I had one for 25 years that I wore till it wore completely out. And then now this is my last one. I won't outlive this hat. Probably, maybe, if I'm lucky, but probably not.
I hope you do, but you probably won't.
Yeah, I'm not looking.
I need a new good hat.
I'm not saying that I'm going to outlive this hat, but it's a good hat.
I had a Stetson that got all mangled up and wet and looked like some dog chewed on it. And but the fell was still in pretty good shape, but it was actually, it turned out to be too small for my head, so I didn't wear it as much as I'd like to have. Speaking of that, I found some stuff this week. I want to show you some of it, Mark, before we leave today. And I found my tricorn hat. I didn't know where it had disappeared to, and I found it this week.
Oh, cool.
It was packed in a box that I couldn't see through, but I didn't find my gun case. Anyway, moving on. So that's the Hudson's Bay Company. Then we also had the Northwest Trading Company, which was founded in 1779. The Northwest Company was a Canadian fur trading business headquartered out of Montreal from basically 1779 to 1821. And there's a caveat to that. It competed with the Hudson's Bay Company in the regions that later became Western Canada and Northwest Ontario. And there was so much wealth involved in this trade. Again, these furs built empires, that these two companies fought each other quite regularly in the woods and forests of North America, to the point that the British, and this was after Britain had taken over Canada from the French. Great Britain, the powers that be in Great Britain said, you guys are going to get your act together. And as of today, we consider you are going to become one company. So they did, because they were either going to merge, or the British, I guess they were going to send soldiers after them. I don't know. But so the Northwest Company actually only lasted till 1821, and then they merged in with the Hudson's Bay Company. Now, the Hudson's Bay Company, until recently at least, was still in existence. And they had giant department stores and things like all over Canada. But I don't know that they are now. I've read some stuff. It was a little confusing about the Hudson's Bay Company, whether they're still actually trading under that name or not. There's still stuff out there, but it's all mixed up with, company mergers and buying out. And so I'm not sure if the Hudson's Bay Company exists as such, but it was until recently. So anyway, that was the Northwest Company. Then we had something called the American Fur Company, which was founded in 1808, and their whole mission in life was to head west to the Rocky Mountains and get furs there on the American side, or in our North America. And this again led to conflicts, because the British at Hudson's Bay Company by this time had gone all the way across, or come in from the west to the west coast of Canada, and it actually moved south into what we now call the United States. And so there was some conflict between them and these fur trading companies, even in the 1800s. This one was founded by John Jacob Astor. Astor's a pretty famous guy if you look through some of his history. In fact, one of his ancestors was on board the Titanic when it sank.
Huh.
There's a story and a legend in a movie called The Unsinkable Molly Brown. And I believe Molly Brown was the wife of who I think was another, like John Jacob Astor, the third or fourth or fifth or whatever he was. And she survived, but the Astor, the husband, did not survive the sinking. Hey, Wolfgang. Oh.
So when did we get the Louisiana Purchase?
1803. Yeah, that's when Lewis and Clark started out. Yeah. I guess it actually was. We traded for that and bought that in either 1802 late or early 1803, somewhere right in that region. And I'm sorry, I don't know the exact date, but it was in that time period. So by that point, we were out there claiming the country, and we were fur trading and doing all that. But the British were still out there. I mean,
the Brits were still in Oregon and Washington.
Yeah, until whatever year it was that they finally decided what that border was going to be up there. And they were probably still doing it even then. I mean, until the beaver went out of fashion, and it did eventually, this conflict continued because it was just too important. That's the building that's where the
Making a mile warmer.
American Fur Trade started. Fur Trade Company.
They're making them out of worms.
Yeah, making them out of worms. That's a line for something. It's about silk hats. Then we had the Rocky Mountain Fur Trade Company, which came along in 1822. That's a year after the other one, the Northwest Trade Company and Hudson Bay merged. Now, this one was established in St. Louis, Missouri, which became a big jumping off point to the west. Probably the main one, actually. William Henry Ashley and Andrew Henry, among the original employees known as Ashley's 100 or Ashley's 100, were people by the name of Jedediah Smith, Jim Bridger. I thought there was one more there. Those guys were famous in American history as the early explorers of the West and the Rocky Mountains and fur trade. Jim, there's a fort, how far from you, that's Bridger, that Jim Bridger established, or at least was named after him.
Yeah, it's about 40 miles from here.
Yeah, which became a big jumping off place for the Mormons when they were moving into Utah also. So Jim Bridger was around for quite a while. And this is actually a poster down here at the bottom where they were looking to recruit 100 men to go up the Missouri River to its source and trap. For one, they could sign on for 1, 2, or 3 years. For particulars, inquire at Major Andrew Henry near the lead mines in the county of Washington, who will ascend with and command the party. And so that's the kind of thing they put out. This image over here on the left is one of Miller's sketches. This is was one representation of the first rendezvous, which was near Mark again, not far from you, if I'm not mistaken. And Jedediah Smith did many things. Bridger, I don't know if Smith ever actually settled down like Bridger did at a fort or whatever, but Smith was actually given some credit for discovering South Pass. I believe he's supposed to be the first white man to go through South Pass, or claimed to be. He discovered the Great Salt Lake, and by finding that pass and doing all that, discovered a route to California, southern route to California. Hey, Diana, are you coming and going, or who's leaving? Have you been here? I'm sorry I missed you being here. Have a great week. Tell Mike I said hi. I guess he didn't want to show up, and he didn't want to share the donuts. They were supposed to bring pumpkin donuts today. Or so they said the other night, anyway. So anyway, that's the Rocky Mountain Fur Trade Company, and they were founded in 22. So these are some of the early paintings that and that's an image of himself. I don't know if that's a self-portrait or if he set for that one. A lot of times these guys painted themselves. It seems like a lot of these you read in their self-portraits. But that's John Jacob Miller at the bottom. I keep wanting to call him Astor, I think is what for some reason. I guess and it's Alfred Jacob. Did I say John? Anyway, these are some of his paintings. Let me see if I labeled these, but all my confusion earlier, I got things messed up. Miller lived from 1810 until 1874. So he was a pretty young man when he started going out west to do these paintings. But thankfully he did do it because, a lot of this wouldn't exist. He was born in Baltimore, Maryland. He went to school in Baltimore in the John D. Craig's Academy, but he didn't receive his formal training there. In art, at least, he he had art lessons from somebody, and he went to Paris for a while and studied that. That was the thing you did back then. If you had enough money to be an artist and you wanted to learn more how to do it. In 1833, he went to Italy, and it was right after that that they invited him to go out west. Important thing about that 1834 date when he went was the fur trade era was almost over by this point. I said that was the first one. That was wrong. He wasn't at the first one. Um, let's see. Stewart hired him to go out and record the hunt. Stewart actually hired him to go out and record this trip, and they went out at that time with the American Fur Trade Company, and they went to Fort William on the Green River, and they went to places, and they came back to New Orleans when they came back, and that's where he started working on his sketches and his watercolors and all these for most of his art, till he eventually went to Scotland for a while too, and I don't know, he came back to Baltimore eventually, and then that's where he died. But anyway, thank goodness he went, because we wouldn't have any of these images without him or someone like him. Do you know what year Catlin was out there, Mark? He was probably out here by then too, since it was later than I thought.
I think he went earlier.
Maybe he was.
I think he was out like just post the first, when Lewis and Clark went out.
That's possible. But he wasn't.
He and Carl Bodmer were out pretty early.
I forgot about Bodmer. That's right.
And Miller came after those guys.
But those guys didn't go out specifically with the Rendezvous and the fur trade people.
No, they just went.
Yeah, they just painted mostly the natives and the people that were out there. But this guy went for this purpose. I guess that's what I should have said originally, but because I got all mixed up. I've talked about Bodmer. I should know that. And so then, because of all this, we had famous characters in history like Hugh Glass, who the movie Revenant was kind of about. I mean,
sort of, kind of. He's my son's hero.
Hugh Glass.
Hugh Glass. Yeah. He knows way more than people should know about Hugh Glass. And when the movie came out, Sean and I went to see it, and I was so distraught. and Samuel was just like, this is awful.
Oh, he didn't like it, huh?
Oh, no.
Well, there was a lot of what they call it, artistic license taken. Let's put it that way. Here's what they think really happened.
My wife's in there mumbling about.
Oh, is she right now?
My reaction to the movie, I was like, "That's not how it happened."
That's the problem with people like you and I go to movies like that. I mean, we loved The Mountain Men, but we all sat there and laughed because we knew it wasn't. There was so much stuff that was wrong about it.
All the way from South Fork to Three Pass,
for example. Had that backwards. So here's the kind of the story, and there is still some speculation about how much of this is true or not true, but this is the story as it came down from Glass and the people that were there. In 1822, as part of one of these advertisements to go west, in fact, it may have been that same one. I'm going to catch up with my reading here so I don't tell a lie. Hugh Glass was one of the 100 who went out. And in that, as he was out there, that group was attacked by Ricker warriors at one point. Or at least some group of them was, and Glass was apparently shot in the leg, but he survived that. I didn't realize this until I read this, even though I've read about him for years. He was literate, so he could write and read and all that kind of stuff. So he wasn't just a a mountain man who, had never had any kind of education, because he wrote a letter to one of the parents of one of the guys that died in that early expedition. And his letter read something like this: it is my painful duty to tell you of the death of your son, who befell at the hands of the Indians on the 2nd of June in the early morning. I don't know if that was important. He died a little while after he was shot, and asked me to inform you of his sad fate. We brought him back to the ship where he soon died. And by ship, they did take some of these. They would take boats up as far as they could, and when steamships came along, they could even go even further. And then they disembarked and went off into the mountains. So he was a sergeant in that group, but maybe not. I'm trying to get down to the part where he was attacked. Okay, so he and a smaller group were out scouting for game or doing whatever, and they disturbed, again, we don't know exactly, but supposedly disturbed a mother grizzly bear with 2 cubs.
Yeah, Plains grizzly too.
Plains grizzly, right, which were much bigger than the mountain grizzlies that we know today. Plains grizzlies no longer exist. They were huge big animals with the biggest claws you can ever imagine. I've seen the claws. They're
7 inches.
So yeah, monsters. The bear charged, picked him up, bit him, slashed him, lacerated his flesh, severely wounded him, and forced him to the ground. I'm sure it just threw him down, stomped upon his body. Hearing him scream for help, several of the party made their way, and they actually killed the bear. In the words attributed to another trapper, Hiram Allen, who was at the scene, the monster had torn the flesh from the lower part of his body and from the lower limbs. He also had his neck shockingly torn, even to the degree that an aperture appeared to have been made into his windpipe, and his breath to exude from that side of his neck. Blood flowed freely. Sorry if this is triggering, but fortunately his hands and arms were not disabled. So he tore him all to pieces, but his hands and arms, his feet and arms still worked, legs and arms still worked. The men were convinced that he would not survive his injuries. Nevertheless, they carried him on a litter for 2 days, but doing so greatly slowed the pace of the group's travel, and they basically ended up leaving him. Henry asked for 2 volunteers to stay with Glass until he died and then bury him. That was John Fitzgerald, and a man who later became famous as Bridges. It was Jim Bridger, stepped forward as the rest of the party moved on. Later, claiming that they were interrupted by attacking a ricker, the pair grabbed a rifle, knife, and other equipment that had belonged to Hugh Glass, because you never left that stuff. You always took it. That's one of the things that makes me so mad in movies. And if Brenda was here, she'd say I yell at the TV every time. They always leave all the equipment. Nobody ever grabs the equipment. They would never have left that stuff. And they caught up with the main party, and they said he had died. They thought he was dead at that point, or maybe they didn't, but they left him. They thought he was going to die, and then then there's some debate about whether that guy was actually Jim Bridger, but that's again part of the legend. He actually regained consciousness out there all by himself. He had a broken leg. He was infected wounds. When you get attacked by a grizzly bear, it's nasty because they've got so much rotting tissue and things they eat in their claws and their teeth that it just makes the wounds even worse. And he laid there all by himself, more than 200 miles from the nearest American settlement at that time, which is Fort Kiowa on the Missouri River. He set the bone in his broken leg by himself. I can't imagine how much that hurt. Wrapped himself in the bear hide that they had left him in, because they'd wrapped him up in the bear hide that they killed, and placed over him as a shroud. That was them. And then he started crawling back to Fort Kiowa, or Kiowa. I don't know how you want to pronounce it, I guess. I don't know. How do you pronounce it, Mark?
Kiowa.
I think that's how I pronounced it. But To prevent gangrene, he allowed Mike, and this is triggering. Brenda, if you're still here, you won't want to hear this. But he allowed
She
maggots.
always yelled at the TV about things that are incorrect.
Well, I do. You've done that. I know you have.
Oh, I'll guarantee you.
Anyway, he let maggots eat the infected part of his wounds, which is actually something that doctors have been known to do today. I know I've read about that happening in Vietnam. He actually managed to crawl all the way back. So it was just one of the famous stories of the fur trade era. But, like I said, supposedly, well, not supposedly, he did make it back. We know he survived it. And this is going back to Jedediah Smith a little bit. These are many of the trails or the areas that he explored. And he actually got all the way out to California. I don't know if it says this. And yeah, there's South Pass. Again, I don't know if it's entirely true, but I've always read that he was the first person to go, white European descendant, whatever, to go through South Pass. How far are you from there, Mark? You're on that side, which was the Continental Divide, by the way. That was the kind of the important thing.
It's an hour from here.
Hour, okay.
To the kind of the straight east.
If you can see it, there's an A, B, and a C here. Those are rendezvous markings. The first one down here, A, is supposed to be the side of the first rendezvous. And I believe that was on the Green River.
It's on the Henry's Fork.
Oh, it's on the Henry's Fork of the Green, though, right?
Of the Green.
Yeah, okay. That all these things are like Mark lives on Ham's Fork of the Green. And the Bear River was part of that, Wind River. And all these sites were important during the fur trade. Again, I've got some more just general pictures. There's one of Carl Bodmer. See, I did talk about Bodmer. I knew I did. That one at the top is, again, that's the Green River, Oregon rendezvous, which is further west than Mark is, of course. Different Green River. The picture on the far left, all I know is that's called the Old Trapper. I don't know who did that drawing. I looked around some. I couldn't find it, but I've recognized that image for years as a picture of a fur trader from the Rockies, a mountain man. I'm sure the first place I ever saw that was at Friendship on something, a book, a poster.
In Muzzleloader magazine or somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. In fact, they may have used it as part of one of those magazines, may have had it in as a regular thing. I'm not sure. The photos at the bottom are about trappers, and it's by Remington, but I'm not sure what year that was actually done, because I didn't think he was there. He might have been there.
He wasn't even alive.
He was after these guys. So this is something.
He might have been alive, but he wasn't drawing stuff yet.
Bodmer was out there early on. Okay, and then
Catlin came kind of first, and then Bodmer, and then Alfred Miller, and yeah. Anyway,
Remington was somewhere in there after that, or in that.
He was later during like the cavalry time period.
Yeah. Now these images, these photos, these images are.
He was actually at Remington was actually painting still during Teddy Roosevelt's.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He was much later than that. Then, yeah, that's right. He was. Was he in Cuba?
He was in Cuba with. Yeah, he's the guy that. So, what was the guy that was the?
William Randolph Hearst.
Hearst. So, Remington was his painter.
He was an artist for the newspaper.
For the newspaper.
Yeah. which some people say that's why the war started. Could be.
Yeah.
And the Maine blew up, and I think
They
Remy,
started the war.
yeah. There have been a lot of rumors that
The newspaper did.
yeah, that they created a reason for there to be a conflict so they could sell more papers, which hell, you never know, could have been true. And I can't see the chat, so if anybody's responding to that, I can't read it. At this
Tina
moment.
said they've got a Green River in New York.
Really? Well, there's a Green River. It may be the one I'm thinking about, but I started to say there's one in Vermont or New Hampshire or somewhere. I thought too, maybe, but I'm not sure about that.
But the Green River is in Wyoming.
It's Wyoming. That's right, the Green River.
The Green River.
Anyway, this lower picture on the left is I find interesting because that is not a wagon train in the sense that we think of settlers moving west. That's actually one of the fur trade companies. That's all the stuff they carried west for one of these events. They actually took when they could do it. They actually took wagon loads of stuff to trade and use the wagons to bring it back east with. Like I said, they used when steamboats came along, river boats. River boats were actually, once they were created and figured out, one of the reasons they used paddle wheels and flat bottoms was so they could go up these shallow rivers and go further up than they'd been able to go before. So they were able to go quite a ways. And, you see a lot of pictures of pre-Civil War river boats carrying just covered over in bales of cotton. So they were made to carry big loads in shallow water, that kind of thing. Big, broad, flat bottom boats.
Come on to Popo Aggie.
Popo Aggie. White women. Whiskey, plenty whiskey. This is a picture at the top of supposed to be of Jim Bridger in a coat of armor. They're not sure if that ever actually happened, but somebody did draw it and say it was him. The lower left-hand picture is the picture I remember reading about and seeing in books where Jedediah Smith crossed over the South Pass and went to the Great Salt Lake and all that. And the one at the lower right is pretty sure that's another Miller image of a trapper setting traps.
Definitely a Miller.
Yeah, it looks like Miller to me. Now we're going to move up into something that I know a little bit about. Mark probably knows more. He's been to some of these places, not all of them, but some of these places. This is some of the modern day rendezvous, or what we've called rendezvous. They're gatherings of reenactors, and rendezvous is a term that's often used, or I've heard it argued since I started that, well, that ain't a rendezvous. Rendezvous were out west and all that, but it is a rendezvous of modern reenactors. So, to me, that's sort of a moot point, but that always kind of bugged me a little bit. But this is one. This is the Feast of the Hunter's Moon. Can't remember if this one's in New York or if this is but it's in the New England states or Lower Canada. I can't remember exactly. I forgot to put that down for some reason. I thought I had the note in here. I thought I'd done such a good job on this, and I still screwed it up. But anyway, there are British troops represented here. There's French troops represented on the left, all covering the different time periods of, Western expansion and the fur trade era and that kind of thing. These are canoes. That is actually a birch bark canoe. And maybe all of these are. There are boats out there now that are made to look like birch bark canoes that aren't. In fact, I had a little fiberglass boat one time that about drowned me, and it was kind of painted to look like a birch bark canoe, but it wasn't. But it was a man killer, I'll tell you that. At least it tried to be. I should have named it Binocular Ruiner because it ruined a really nice pair of binoculars.
I personally saw that happen.
Anyway, these birch bark canoes. The problem with birch bark was it's kind of delicate. I mean, it's probably relatively tough, but not when it hit the sharp rock in some of these rivers. no wonder they portaged over a lot of shoals and anything rocky because they wouldn't want to damage their boat and be stuck. But this canoe, to my knowledge, is solely based on a Native American design, and I don't know who came up with it first, but the black stuff on there is
They did.
who?
They did.
They did, yeah, I know they did. I just don't know what group or tribe started using them. But anyway, they're neat boats. I mean, there's no two ways around that, but they are kind of delicate. Mark, the canoe we saw at Michilimackinac Fort or Fort Mackinac, was it was birch bark, wasn't it?
It was.
And it was one of the big cargo canoes.
It was a big one. Yeah.
It was a big one. Yeah, these things got up to like 40 feet long, I think. And they were wide, and they were built that way to carry a lot of furs. Again, trade goods and furs. This was all about the fur trade, and they weren't able to move supplies in and out with these things. And they'd have how's that? Let me think how that. There's
and that guy is putting on pitch.
Pitch, yeah, he's preparing
to seal any cracks or anything.
The idea of a smoke break. What was the term? So much in a smoke or two smokes in a. They used to measure distance. The voyeurs or the coeur de bois used to measure distance across, say, Lake Michigan, and they might say it's so many smokes in a time period. And what they meant by that was that they would paddle for a certain period of time. I don't remember.
And then get on shore and like take a break.
And they would smoke a pipe.
And smoke a pipe.
That I've got one of. Oh, you know what? I've got one of those right here. Hang on just a minute. I forgot I had this. I found this the other day too. But they would smoke a pipe, and then they'd get back in the boat, and away they would go. This is a part of one. They look like this.
Yeah.
This one's broken off. This one was made in England. So I guess this is a replica, but they still find these things buried in caches. I know they found some in Ohio one time.
Yeah.
And there were like hundreds of these little pipes in the cache, and they were all smashed up and sort of blended together because they're clay. So over time they did that, but they found real ones that were still intact in one piece. And what they used to do, these things would be long, have a long stem. This is one of the things they did in taverns. And you'd go up to the fireplace and get you a pipe off the tavern, the mantle, fill it with tobacco, fire it up, smoke your pipe, and then they would break the tip of it off until it got down, as different people used it, until it got down to short they couldn't use it. But now the voyeurs might have carried one just like this, and they weren't going to throw one out till they couldn't, till it was no good anymore.
And some of those were like clay pipe. The bowl was a clay pipe with a reed stem on them.
Yeah, that too. I don't know where the idea of a corncob pipe originated. But there were such things. People make fun of them thinking hillbillies.
It came up from a bunch of hillbillies is where it came from.
Well, but it was a real thing. They really did do that.
It was a real thing.
Anyway.
My great grandmother's sister, Lizzie. My great grandmother's name was Nicey.
Nicey.
They were Scott. She was a Scot. Her little sister's name was Lizzie. And Lizzie smoked a cob pipe the whole time I can remember being around her. She always had a pipe.
So here's another way that, again, these are all reenactors, of course, but this is another way that they got around in these areas, and dugouts. I always think of dugouts as being kind of a little bit more southern thing, because we didn't have birch bark canoes down south, birch bark wasn't a thing here. And this is an actual dugout canoe, and they would cut down a large tree and they would burn and use an adze or an axe, and they'd chop out the middle of it till they came up with a birch bark canoe, or not a birch bark canoe, yeah,
A
a
dugout.
pierogi or a hollowed out canoe or whatever you want to call it. And that's what it looks like in the water with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in it. And as you can see, it's not very far above the water line. So that was, you know, I'd say that was pretty close to being loaded. And the guy down in the lower corner.
There's some guy in the front saying, "Back up."
Back up. Yeah. Well, that guy, one guy up here in the front's got a muzzle, got a fuselet.
Yeah, he wouldn't worry about a cottonmouth.
No, he'd be shooting it. Unlike the guy I know who was barehanded at the time. I'm surely we've told that story by now. Anyway, the guy in the bottom right has got a small rowboat, which may very well have been on a larger boat, a keel boat or a river boat, and it has a deck gun or a swivel gun mounted on the front. That could very well have been true. They did use those on the sides of boats at that time because they can move them. They could actually even, if they had to, they could even pull it out and a couple of guys could grab onto it, point it, and shoot it.
Would they call that a bateau or a bateau?
Well, it might be a small bateau, yeah, but the bateau's got bigger than that. But yeah, I think it's kind of designed like that, flat bottomed, and but it's, you know, that's obviously not something you'd carry up into the mountains. But they did, well, although they did carry and drag a lot of things if they had enough people. The Lewis and Clark carried boats up until they just couldn't anymore on the Missouri, so it did happen. But well, I guess the main thing there is the swivel gun could have been real. The boat could very well have been real, but it's another way of getting around in the waterways when you didn't have a canoe or weren't using that kind of a boat. And these images, let me see, these are still from the Feast of the Hunter's Moon. These are from a gathering called Sacagawea Heritage Days. And I don't know why I didn't put the location down for these, but obviously that's in the West.
You mean Sacagawea?
Sacagawea. Well, your choice. You'll always be Sacagawea to me. And again, these are that same gathering. And again, now what I was trying to show here is this is kind of how it's done today. If you had a group like Ashley's that were the Ashley 100, as long as they were able to transport them, they may very well, because they were kind of like a military group in some ways. And some of them actually had military units that did go with them. They might have been staying in tents like this. Down at the lower left-hand corner of this photograph is a trade blanket, is what we would call it, but that could very well have been a Hudson Bay blanket. And this guy who owns this one's got all kinds of interesting things laid on it for trade or barter. Now, that's stuff you wouldn't want to be carrying up into the mountains, but certainly you might find most anything on a trade blanket. Got a couple of deer skins over here with a couple of long guns on them, possibly smoothbore French guns, or I can't tell for sure. It could even be a Brown Bess version laying there. But those are all long, so they're probably more like the French Fusil. Well, how's that pronounced, Mark? Fusil? Your dad makes a version of this, I believe.
Well, fusil if you're like a French person. Fusil if you're American, probably.
The guy at the bottom is actually wearing a uniform that would have been possibly an American Army uniform of the early 1800s. I'm not 100% sure, but that kind of uniform may be what Lewis and Clark would have had, because they did have uniforms at least for a while. until they wore out going up, when they made their expedition. I've seen pictures of them in uniform. At least Lewis and Clark themselves did. And that guy's got some trade goods out. We got some teepee set up. This is at Fort Union, a rendezvous at Fort Union or gathering. We got some traders, settlers tent set up here with blankets and coats, or coats made out of blankets, shirts, other things. Brenda used to make shirts, and I used to do the very same thing. Mark and I, we had trade blankets set up, and we sold some various things like that. This is where I not here, but this is how I got my first experience at teepee living. The Mark, you can't really tell it from here by looking, but the guy in the lower right-hand corner down here,
Yeah.
he's napping flint.
Oh, cool.
Don't know who he is, but it didn't say, but he's napping flint to demonstrate there for folks. I like this guy, this French guy here, the voyeur hat and the moose call or whatever he's got there. I like that bag he's got with that big fleur de lis on the side. That's kind of neat. That's something else I found. I found my hunting pouch. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's my powder horn, which has my name on it, or my card. I think I did this.
Look.
Look what?
Look.
It's like, hang on, I can't see you. Now look, yeah, see, I knew. I kept thinking, I knew
it's hanging right here on the back of my grandpa's chair.
I knew that we had ones that look very similar.
It's the same. Your wife built this for me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Many moons ago.
So anyway, those are cool. I like them a lot. I'm glad I found mine. I was so happy. This guy is skinning lodge poles, peeling them, straightening. He looks more like he's taking knots and things off them with a draw knife in that picture. Mark's going to be doing that pretty soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Definitely.
And here's just another image of an encampment. Guys doing various things around the fire. Somewhere in there ought to be somebody sitting around a spit with a roast on it, cutting off meat to eat. We used to set up camp kind of like this. Mark's dad's teepee lodge looked similar to that one. And sometimes we'd have my lean-to set up beside it, and that's usually where we cooked out of and kept our supplies. And we slept in the teepee, which had a fire in it, so we could stay warm if we could stay away, as long as somebody threw wood on it.
As long as Randy.
Or we had somebody like Randy blowing on it to keep it going. Now, Marcus, this is where I wanted your expertise.
Hold on. You can't walk on your lap. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so these are some of the sites of the actual rendezvous, at least, and they might have been spread out all over. Bear that in mind. It's probably not pinpointed. They didn't have GPS locators back then. But this is the Burnt Fork Rendezvous, 1825.
That's the first one.
So that's the first one. Okay. And
yeah.
Burnt Fork, there are different names also, I might point out. I may say Burnt Fork. Mark may know another name because
it's right off the Henry's Fork.
Okay, right. That's what I thought.
Burnt Fork is a tributary to the Henry's Fork, and that's a photo that's taken that's looking to the north. Because if you turn around and look the other way, there's a big old mountain range, the Uintas.
Okay. How far would you say this is from
that are the longest east-west mountain range in in
America.
America's below the Brooks Range.
Oh, but yeah, okay. I was going to say the Brooks
So the
Range.
Brooks Range are the longest, and the Uintas are the second.
That's
But there's 3 peaks on the Uintas that are over 14,000 feet.
cool. I didn't realize that. Now, are they in Wyoming or Utah at that point?
They're in Utah.
Okay,
They were supposed to be in Wyoming, but Judge Carter said, why would we want that country to be part of Wyoming? Judge Carter was a politician from Uintah County that he's like, I don't know why we would want that country. It's not good for anything except raising sheep.
Sheep farmers weren't very respected back then.
And so they drew the line straight. Instead, it was supposed to go to the Wyoming would have looked a little different originally because it was supposed to go up to the divide. And anyway, we don't have it now. And it's very valuable.
Of course it is.
It's all Forest Service land, but it's from a sportsman aspect. It's very valuable.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I didn't see this minute ago. Brenda was talking. She agreed that I do yell at the TV when it's incorrect, and I do. I can't. I know you do it too. I believe you've either I've heard you or seen you.
I almost got up and left at the Revenant.
Really? That bad? So I've never seen that.
And I haven't taken my wife to very many movies, and I was really excited about that one, and I almost got up and left. So
okay, this one's supposed to be near the area of Cove, Utah, and I didn't put the date down on this one.
Which Utah?
It said Cove. I don't know if there is a city named Cove or a town named Cove, but that's what it was.
I don't know it.
Yeah,
I know that country.
I got the coordinates written down here, but I didn't write down.
I didn't even know they did rendezvous over in Utah.
Well, this could have been the one and only. I don't know.
It can't be far from me.
No, it can't be. Yeah, it had to be close to the Wyoming border. This is supposed to be the Sweet Lake Rendezvous. This was they rendezvoused here in 1827 and 1828.
Sweet Lake.
It's probably got another name too. Now these photographs came from a website called something about Rocky Mountain Rendezvous history, I think, and they had a lot of really good information. So I want to believe they're correct.
Gathering of a reenactment.
Wait a minute, what was that?
A gathering of a reenactment of a gathering.
That's right, Tina. Not confusing. I'm glad you got it figured out. This is Popo Agie.
I know that country like the bump on the back of my head.
This is Lander, Wyoming, and this is not far from you at all. Is this? I don't know. Is this further away from you?
2 hours east.
2 hours. Okay.
Kind of northeast. 2 hours. I go there all the time. I just buried one of my brothers over there.
Yeah, you did. You were up there. So this was, again, I don't know how these guys supposedly have gone out and located these sites, but you can see something they all have in common. They are large, flat areas, generally speaking.
Right on the river.
Do what?
Right on a river with lots of horse feed.
Yep, on a river. And, with mountains all around. And the trappers and the Indians, they came to these, word got around somehow where the rendezvous were going to be. and they would all show up here. And they lasted for, they might last a month or two if they needed to. They were there
but they had to have a lot of grass
they
because
had to have a lot of grass.
you had livestock and you had to have a lot of grass.
Yeah, because these things, they drove cattle with them to eat sometimes because they were going to be there for a little while. And of course, they had horses. And like I said, Mark said they've got to have feed for all that.
Yeah, I mean, when the natives would show up, they would bring their whole everything they owned, including all their hundreds of ponies. And
they had lots of horses.
You had to have grass.
Yeah.
They didn't have. You couldn't go like I want to buy a ton of hay.
Down Baumgartner's or anywhere.
Yeah, there wasn't none of that. You had to go to a spot where you could feed lots of livestock.
Not Baumgartner's, it's Baumgars, isn't it?
Or Baumgars.
Yeah. That's sort of Mark's version of Tractor Supply there in his town. Anyway, and then this is
the best store that's ever existed.
The rendezvous was held here in 1830 and 1838.
Where's this one?
Riverton.
Oh, at Riverton, which is northeast of Lander.
Okay.
That's right on the east edge of the Wind River Indian Reservation.
This is Pierre's Hole, Idaho. This was 1830. This was supposed to be 1832's rendezvous site,
which is right on the border of Wyoming. That's the one where the Blackfeet came down and caused all the deal
at Pierre's Hole.
At Pierre's Hole, yeah.
Now this is again. I'm going by their name. This is Horse Creek.
This is my country. This is where I live.
Yeah, this is where Mark lived. I'm going to tell you a story about this just in a minute. This is supposed to be Horse Creek. It says. I don't know what else. I don't know.
Horse Creek up on the green.
Yeah, up on the green. They rendezvoused here in 33, 33, 35, 36. 37, skip 38. We've already seen that site. 39, 8, and 1840. And
so that's looking east toward the Wind River Mountains. And on the other side of that mountain, if you look at those mountains in front of you, on the other side is Lander and Riverton.
The other side of the
We're on the other side of the divide. That's the divide. The Wind Rivers are the divide.
And by that he means the Continental Divide.
Yeah, that one.
This river, Mark, there's a spot between when you come home
from the trout
your house. There's a place along the highway that we went by several times, and one day we looked down, there were moose in the river. That's what this reminds me of. This looks just to me, at a glance, and I know it's not exactly the same, but this looks like that stretch of land right through there along the highway.
On the Hams Fork.
On the Hams Fork, yes. That's what that looks like to me. That's what that reminds me of. So, imagine something like this not far from where Mark lives.
It runs through my property.
It runs through his property. And, with moose standing in it, for example.
I have a lot more willows than that does.
Yes, you do.
But I don't have that many cottonwood trees right along the river.
Yard.
Just
Mark
in the yard.
One of the biggest cottonwoods in the area, but they're all in his yard. That's where Ozzie and Harriet live a lot.
That's where Ozzie and Harriet live. They're here today.
Anyway, they had a lot. You can see why they rendezvoused here a lot.
And that, looking out over that landscape, is why I live where I live.
Yeah.
Because there's no human beings between here and there. Pinedale, Wyoming, where they have the big Mountain Man Rendezvous every year, is right over there to the east.
And that's one they still do today, right?
Yeah, yeah. Where they do a big reenactment.
You know, we talk about that, and I know we talked about this back when we were doing it more. You know, everybody, it's a reenactment of history, but you know, when we're out there doing that stuff, we're doing it. We're really doing it. We're not just reenacting it. We're doing it. You know, we're cooking our own meat. We're cooking over a fire. We're living in a tent or teepee. We're sleeping on. Well, we didn't all were lucky enough to have a buffalo robe back then. We had Hudson Bay blankets to sleep on. His Mark's dad had the buffalo robe back then. A buffalo robe that I might add that eventually we split, and I still have half of it back here in sitting in my reading chair back here. I don't know if you still have your half or not.
I don't. My half's long gone, buddy.
I thought it was.
But I have a brain tanned buffalo robe I sleep under every night.
Which is probably way better than this one. This one wasn't brain tanned, I don't think.
No, it wasn't brain tan, but this one it smells like heaven, and
I love brain tan. I mean, if it's smoked right, it's not the brain tanning necessarily, but the smoking. Is yours smoked?
yeah.
Yeah. Did you do that yourself?
No,
Okay.
no, I bought it, but I'm like, it's heaven. It's
I'd
heaven.
love to have I'd love to have one. Oh my goodness. Soft brain tan leather is just so supple. And if it's been smoked right, to me, it smells so good. My wife doesn't like it. It bothers her nose, unfortunately. She says
That's too bad.
I think that's sad because I could just stick my head down in a plastic bag of that stuff.
Just like
This is
that's an Alfred Jacob Miller painting.
It is Alfred Jacob Miller. This was one of his paintings of the 1837 Green River Rendezvous. I don't know which one. I mean, that's all. Well, 1837. Oh, actually, you know what?
That's Pinedale.
That was part of this one. This was the one I've got. That's where this is the area that this painting was done in, somewhere along here.
Yeah, that's Pinedale. Those are the Wind River Mountains right there to the east, or to the back side of that.
You know what Mark said a minute ago about lots of grass and the ponies? If you look back across that landscape, you see lodges, teepees, different groups set up all through there, and you see lots of horses everywhere. That was the thing. And the Plains
They might have had 1,000 horses with them.
Yeah, the Plains Indians lived and died by the horse.
And you gotta feed them.
Yeah, you gotta feed them.
And they probably moved those camps around as grass got beaten down, and
they probably did. They would have at least moved the herds of horses around, and
yeah, the boys would be out there moving ponies around.
That's one of the things that young men did as they grew up and learned about horses and all the things to be as a warrior, or an adult male as a Lakota male or whatever. You learned how to take care of the livestock, literally. And so anyway, this is supposed to be somewhere around Landers also, Mark. This is supposed to be 1834 rendezvous was here. That's not the greatest picture in the world, but that's supposed to be a picture of the Hams Fork. So somewhere on that river, Mark lives.
No, so you said Lander.
Well, this says Lander, yeah.
If it's Lander, that's the Poposia or the Popo Aggie. The correct pronunciation is Poposia.
Poposia.
But it's not near me, although it looks like me, like where I live, and not so much the Popo Aggie.
Well, it could be. It says Hams Fork. They may have the name
If
wrong.
it's got Hams Fork on it, that was the Granger rendezvous, which was just like 15 miles down the road here below me.
Upstream or downstream?
Downstream. But it doesn't really look like the Hams Fork. I don't know. I'm not.
Now, they may, again, I would have to go by what they're listed. I wanted you to see them because I felt like you would probably know if they were correct or not.
It's a little deeper, more incised river than that looks, but it might be.
And that brings me to this photograph, which was the 1838 rendezvous was scheduled for the Green River Valley, but to escape trading pressure from the Hudson's Bay Company again, which was at that time based kind of out of Oregon, Washington area and along the Canadian border, the location was moved to the site of the 1830 rendezvous on the Wind River. This note was written with charcoal on the old storehouse door. Come to Popo Asia. Popo Asia on Wind River, and you will find plenty trade whiskey and white women. We laugh because that is
that's a line.
But this supposedly was actually on the door of that storehouse, and this may not be that storehouse, but there was
Come on to Popo Aggie, plenty of whiskey and white women.
Because in the movie,
the mountain
says, you can't bring white women on that side of the divide. Or no, that's why they were taking the white women could be there because they weren't crossing the divide.
That's from the movie The Mountain Man with Charlton Heston and Brian Keith.
Yeah. Which is
come all to Popo Aggie, plenty of whiskey and white women.
Yeah. That was the sign they found when they were looking for the rendezvous.
But that's clear on the other side of the divide.
Well, hell, you can't expect them to bring white women on this side. Now, I apologize if that offends. I don't mean to be. This is history, and that's the way it was written. But that's, that was a thing. That was definitely a thing. These rendezvous were
a hootenanny.
And they brought a lot of people that you don't think about there being that many people at any given site like that. But you like that or that better? This is wider, but we're not as big. So the other's fake. I don't remember what was fake. I guess she's talking about reenactments. A gathering of a reenactment of a gathering. Something like that. Anyway, we've spent some shining times doing that kind of stuff. So, I wish everybody could have those.
My favorite times of my life were at those deals.
Mark got to do something I never got to do. He was younger and he got to spend the whole summer, or at least one summer, doing nothing but doing rendezvous with Pat
Tierney.
Yeah, Pat Tierney and his wife, if I'm not mistaken. You did several rendezvous with them.
Yeah, we wandered all through this country I live in. There were several down here that summer, and it was grand. It was shining times, buddy.
Oh, I moved it. I had a moccasin laying here that was one of their moccasin pattern that they made and sold. I took it back to the trunk. I'm going to put it back with my other one. Again, it was in the box where these hunting pouches were in, but those Carolyn Tierney or Pat One made those moccasins. I don't know who sewed them up, but
Pat made them.
Pat made them.
Yep. I helped him many a day. There's a moccasin.
You wear them every day.
I wear them every day.
I
ride in them. I work cows in them. People are like, "You're nuts, dude."
You are who you are.
I'm like, I can make my own shoes and you can't.
Nana, nana, boo, boo.
you
Can't make fire. Can't make it.
you give me a piece of hide, I'll make a shoe out of it.
Oh, me. Anyway, so that is more about the fur trade than you probably ever wanted to know.
Ever wanted to know.
But it was an interesting time in history, that's for sure. And
it was the backbone. It's what our country was built on.
yeah, largely
Literally. And Canada.
Yeah, you think about it, the beaver brought
that one creature like led to the formation of this country and Canada.
Yeah. Later on, they found gold, and that brought Russia's.
Which Trump wants now. Trump wants that.
Do what?
I said, it doesn't matter.
Okay, we won't go there. That's
in Iceland and Greenland too.
Anyway, but beaver had. I mean, when they first came to the New World, the Spanish came here looking for gold, although they did trade for beaver too. But the English and the French, when they came over here, even early on, when it was just like fishermen fishing off the Outer Banks, they still started trading with the natives, and beaver was the thing that just got them excited, and brought them back for more and more and more. And they traded for otter, they traded for muskrat, they traded for all
that one critter.
Beaver was the driving factor here, driving force.
Yeah,
it literally built the empires financially for many people. Probably destroyed a lot at the same time.
Well, it's the reason that the Iroquois from New York, that had always been kind of in New York and southeast Canada, it's the reason that they claimed all the way through Kentucky later on, like they were the big brothers, that's the reason they did what they did. It just changed. Yeah. And it was just because of the trade value of that one species.
I mean, they traded for everything from blankets to pots and pans to steel arrowheads to muzzle to
rifles and smooth bores and
and everything you can pretty much think of. Awls, steel awls that work better than their bone awls, and things they'd use for steel and flint awls that they'd use for
gazillions of years,
thousands of years. And suddenly they had all these, and a Thomas Hawk, steel Thomas Hawk, tomahawk, hatchets, axe, whatever. That goes back to a cartoon you guys may remember.
You're Thomas Hawk, sir.
You're Thomas Hawk, sir.
Oh, we're not allowed to talk about Looney Tunes.
We can talk about it. I just can't play it on air. I'll get cut off again.
Oily American. Go watch the Oily American.
The Oily American. Yep, that's it. The Oily American. You guys can watch it at home.
Cannonball, sir.
Me smell Mohican burning. Oh, me my Mohican.
I saw that tag on this deal that I was the next to the last of the Mohicans.
I put that on something.
Yeah, on this link.
Oh, that's right. I did. I put that on my thumbnail.
Here, Uncas, you're the next to the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyway. Guys, I really appreciate you being here. I know it's been a little crazy today. I apologize for the earlier technical difficulties, but
The figurities.
yeah, but we made it through. I have another leather question since you're still here.
Leather.
Yeah. Oh, I found this. This was wrapped in plastic and cosmoline and a cat trapper's cash. Nah, I'm trying to figure out something. This is an old holster I bought to hunt with one of my pistols a long time
Yeah.
ago. Bought this from a guy in Nashville somewhere, and how I found him and located and found out that he made, handmade holsters like this, I have no idea. But he was the only person at that time that made a holster to fit a Ruger Super Blackhawk with a 10-inch barrel on it, which is what I was started hunting with at one time. And and it rides across the chest like this, which you see lots of these nowadays, but you didn't back then. But anyway, it's not really suede, but it's kind of a rough texture. It's not smooth like now the strap here is smooth like a finished leather on one side. Should I treat this with? I mean, how would you treat this? I'm gonna rub oil into it, but I don't guess
You need to put neat's foot oil into
yeah,
it.
that's what I'm gonna. That's what I've already started
So
doing.
if it's dirty or moldy or anything, use some saddle soap.
Yeah, I've started cleaning that off, and
But you never ever saddle soap leather when you don't give it a drink of oil afterwards.
right, because it won't
Ever.
saddle soap.
Because that saddle soap pulls all the good stuff out of it.
Well,
and the bad stuff too. But
yeah,
it cleans it. But I know dozens and dozens and dozens of cowboys that have ruined their saddles because they like saddle soap their saddle all the time, and they never give it a drink of oil.
well,
I tell them all the time, like, dude, you gotta, like, after you're done cleaning, you have to oil it or it's gonna die.
when I was growing up,
It'll last like 1,000,000 years longer if you do it right.
I thought saddle soap was a cleaner and an oil, but it's not.
It
I
is
didn't
not.
know that.
It just sucks all the goodness out of the leather, and then you got to put the goodness back in, which is the oil.
Well, that's what I'm in the process of doing. I'm cleaning them, and they had some mildew on them in places because they've been in the basement. So I baked them. You can put them in the oven at like 250 degrees for 15 or 20 minutes, and it kills that stuff.
Yeah.
But then you got to do what I'm doing now, which is wipe it off, clean it off, and then go back to oiling it. And
you gotta oil it. It's got to have leather. People don't understand it mostly anymore. Seems like leather is just a bunch of fibers like tied together, and it has emulsified oils around all those fibers.
Ooh, there's a big old word.
And that's why it stays soft and supple. And if you don't oil it, it just breaks down and falls apart.
See, this is a finished leather holster, and is it hard. And I've started rubbing it and putting oil on it. I wish I could drop it in a bucket just about.
You could. If
I had that much oil, I could. I don't have
just like take a vat of oil and drop it in there, and like that wouldn't hurt it a bit.
Yeah, and just let it drip out of it, and then rub it dry or whatever. I'd like to do that. I don't have that much neat's foot oil at the moment. If I did, I would.
I have a jug of neat's foot about that deep, and saddle soap, the good stuff, right by it. And I never put saddle soap on anything without oiling it afterwards.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm clean. You know what I used?
Which is why my saddle will be alive in 300 years. And
They'll dig it up somewhere and say, "Oh, this guy must have oiled his saddle." I clean. I'm trying something new. I'm actually cleaning these with Ballistol.
With what?
Ballistol.
Ballistol. I don't know that product.
It was originally invented in Germany prior to World War One, and it was used on all kinds of things, cleaning guns, lubricating guns for the army. They did their boots with it. They literally used it on everything. And I don't know, it kind of went away, at least here, for a long time, and it's come back now. And some people I watch online used it a lot on the.
It's an oil.
It's an oil with other things in it, and I'm just cleaning it, and then I'm putting Neatfoot on it. But it says right here, leather, use on boots, shoes, gloves, holsters, slings, saddles, and seats. Protects, and it actually says it protects it against water and keeps it soft and pliable. Will darken lighter colors. Do not use on suede. And I don't know what all is in it. It is oily, but it's also a cleaner. I mean, it does both. I'm putting oil on after this, but I'm using this to get the outside stuff off because I don't currently have any saddle soap. But it seems to be doing a pretty good job. I know I'll tell you someplace you've run into this and didn't even know it, I bet. You remember something called moose milk? I think that's what your dad called it.
Moose milk.
They cleaned the muzzle loaders with it. I think that's what they called it. And it was sort of an oily, and it would get kind of white frothy when you use it.
Yeah, we use moose milk.
Well, that you can make that with this.
Oh.
And it tells how, and right here it tells how to mix it. How much water? 25% Ballistol for black powder removal, 75% water. This is it.
And moose milk in a can.
Moose milk in a can. And but you can mix that up with water and do all kinds of cool things with it.
So, I use Febing's, Feibings saddle soap, which comes in a can about that big around and about that tall.
Yeah, I used to have a can. I don't know if it was Febing's or not.
I
got to get some more, but
I was trying to look around. I thought I had a can laying right here by me, but I don't see it right now. But anyway, I use Febing's saddle soap, and then as soon as I clean the leather, I pour the Neatfoot to it.
Have you ever seen this brand of Neatfoot?
I have not.
I found this somewhere, and this stuff. Suppose I didn't. I was just looking for some cans of Neatfoot oil, and I found this can. This stuff's supposed to have been around since sometime like in the 1800s. I can't remember what the date is now. But I like the can a lot, and it's basically just Neatfoot oil.
I like that can too, but I buy Neatfoot literally by the gallon. So
this comes out of Watkins, Colorado. But it's been around. Yeah, I know. I'd like to have a gallon right now too, but I don't. But I can just
I probably have like 7 gallons of it.
Jeez.
Because I use a lot of it for saddle repair and whatever.
How do you put it on usually?
Just with a cloth.
Just a cloth?
I just pour it on the leather and then take the cloth and like take an old washcloth and rub it on there, and
I'm using old t-shirts
and give it a good drink. You got to give it a good drink.
I just thought of something. and I brought some up here. I don't see them. I've got some little sponges about this big around,
Yeah.
about that thick. I think I'll try to put some in that and see if I can't do it that apply it with that. I'm gonna try that. I bet it would
I
absorb
bet
me.
it'll work just fine.
Yeah.
But I pour it to it. I use a lot.
I literally was thinking yesterday that, man, I wish I had about a gallon of this stuff. I'd just drop it in there and soak it, and I would, and I may end up getting a gallon just to do that with a couple.
Man, I would dip it. You know, if you're gonna if you're gonna immerse it in an each foot, I would dip it and then pull it out and let it drip.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
And then it's gonna get that look that's just like gorgeous.
And then I need to just rub it in and make it look good and soft, and refit to the implements of the tools that were supposed to fit in there to begin with.
Well, and so I built a lot of holsters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need your pistol, because I'm gonna form fit this thing to your pistol, and then you're gonna have to oil the heck out of your pistol when I'm done, because it's gonna be in a wet piece of leather for a little while, and then you're gonna have to. But it's Wyoming, so we don't have to worry about rust
because it's dry.
I mean, it's not like we live in East Tennessee where, like, you touch the mill table and your handprint shows up.
Yeah, your handprint shows up the next day if you don't oil it.
Yeah.
So you just said something.
Especially if you're Bobby.
So when you're doing the form fitting, you're doing that in water. I mean, you're wetting it.
I wet it. I wet the leather down, and then I put the pistol in the holster, let it form fit, let that dry a little bit, and then you gotta oil that pistol up afterwards,
and the leather too, for that matter. Yeah. Anyhow. Okay.
All right, brother.
What you doing the rest of the day? Anything exciting?
Yeah, I got grandbabies coming. I'm gonna be saddling ponies.
Oh, gonna ride.
You know it.
Good deal.
Yeah, it'll be good.
How's Luna coming along? You still working with her?
She's good. She's good. She's gonna be beautiful. I gotta swing a leg over pretty soon, and
yeah, I wondered about that. I thought you might be getting close to that.
It won't be long. I'll be like that old long-tailed cat at the sawmill. It won't be long now.
No, it won't. You be careful doing that. You're old.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Yep, she'll be it won't be long. We'll be swinging a leg over and seeing how buck her out.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to hear how that goes.
Well, she won't. I don't think she's gonna ever buck, but she might. You never know. I'd like to get like a young guy, like a 20-year-old guy, like climb up on that horse.
Yeah. Okay, if I had the last,
she's so soft and easy and learns so quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think she's going to be a grand one.
Good deal. That can be done, Kate. I'm sure you can find somebody that can do that. And in fact, you might even be able to find one out there that's already made for that, believe it or not, would fit that pistol. Depending on how old, what year, model, and stuff it is, there are people that make holsters already. Because the thing about a Luger was they were all the same. They might have had a different barrel length, but the basic frame and the size and the shape of it was all the same. So a holster that's made to fit one Luger is going to fit any other Luger pretty much. And so I bet you could find one that
I would love to have that honor.
Yeah, if we had a way to move them around without
I would even donate that honor.
There you go.
If I had the dimensions.
Yeah. Well, we could probably talk to her and get that.
Because I've never made a holster for a Luger, but I'd be happy to make Kay. I'd love to have the honor of building that holster.
What have I got?
I don't. Do you have a Luger?
No, if I did, we'd use it. I was going to say, I've got a small Hungarian made pistol that's
but that don't count.
No, but what I was going to say was the holster's made that way to fit it. It's a European holster.
Mm-hmm.
A police holster. That's what they used them for then. And it's made much like that.
Well, I could research how their holsters were built and build one like it. I just need dimensions.
You know anybody out there that's got one?
You know, I got a airborne buddy that lives in town that probably has 87 of them.
Hey, we'll have to talk about that.
Hey, we need dimensions.
Yeah.
I need to know barrel length and slide length and the whole deal. But that could be done even without me having the pistol in my hand. So
we'll work on that, Kay. I tell you what I might do. I might get you a drawing and then you can measure and write 87. 87. What do you mean 87? 87. Why do I know what that means?
No say. But I can build a holster.
I bet we can make that happen, Kay.
I've been known to build a holster.
Or two, yeah.
Or 100.
Okay, if you want to send me an email address, I'll send. What I could do, one, is send you a drawing and then a picture, or you can find your own and you can measure the example you have and then write that down on the drawing. And he said a guy in town had 87 Lugers. Okay.
Oh.
Well, he might be exaggerating a little.
I said 187, but I'm just thinking that if I know a guy that owns a Luger, it's going to be my buddy in Kimmer. But he might not. I know I have personally built him 7 holsters, but not for Lugers. But I would like to research what a Luger holster looks like first, and then build a replica of that. But anyway.
It can probably be done. Send me in my DM or whatever, in my private, or whatever they say nowadays. Kids, I don't know what the kids call it. Private message and give me an email address. I don't want you putting it online. And like I said, we'll work out some dimensions and figure that out. Maybe Mark can make that happen.
It can't take that much leather.
No, I wouldn't think so.
I'd be gifting it. So.
Okie doke.
Being a loyal listener.
That's right. And I would help. Okay, guys, I'm going to chalk this one up for another.
Yeah, if I just give away holsters and stuff, we'd probably have more followers.
I could put that out on the internet and advertise it. We'd have lots of people.
Free holster.
Especially once word got around how good they are. Anyway, all right. Love you guys. Thanks for being here again. We'll see you next week. Should be
good to see all of you.
Yeah. Buddy, you take care. You have a good day.
I'm
Enjoy
gonna have a grand day.
Grand. Yeah, it's best
Yep.
quote on the grand.
Grand days are the best days. So
There you go.
all right. Love
All
you,
right,
man.
guys. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see y'all real soon. Bye-bye.